installment of the MECCA podcast. We're going to do something a little different today. We have a special guest. We have Tim Martin from Dallas. He's going to talk to us about his basketball experiences, also the players that he's worked with, and how his current situation is actually going to help the culture of basketball here in America and also throughout the international world. Welcome to the podcast, Tim. Thank you for coming by. Appreciate it, man. I know you flew in just for this, and yeah, I'm joking. At any rate, welcome to New York.
Thank you.
Tell the people exactly who you are, what you're doing here in New York, and also, more importantly, what you're doing within the culture of basketball.
Yeah, man. So I'm kind of wearing a different hat. The reason why I came out here, the shoe company that I've been doing like some ambassador work for over the last couple of years is Li-Ning, also by the Way of Wade brand, and we're doing a fashion show here in New York tomorrow. So just came out here to support and just kind of help out, and I'll be going to the All-Star Weekend next to just kind of meet some players and stuff like that. So,
Got you. Now you're primarily one of the You're in a different situation than most, in that you're looked at as one of the premier trainers in New York. Excuse me, not only New York but also the world. Tell the people that the level of players that you work with, because I know you run the gamut.
Yeah.
I know you work with a couple of NBA Rookies of the Years and Players of the Year and NCAA. You want to talk about briefly about who you
man.
work
I've been really blessed to just be around a lot of high basketball IQ guys. You know, my first client was Josh Howard, who was a former NBA All-Star for the Dallas Mavericks. Devin Harris, Corey Brewer, just to name a few. Early on in my career, and then kind of flipped it back into the grassroots. So, Juwan Evans, worked with him for a long time. Who's with the Phoenix Suns now. Trey Young. Now we've got some more guys also in the collegiate ranks. PJ Washington and Nick Claxton in Georgia. So. You know, over the last 4 to 5 years especially, things have been panning out for a lot of these guys. So I've just been fortunate enough to just continue to work with them and then help them out in any way I can possible, whether it's on the court or off the court as well. So it's been a blessing, not just for them, but for myself to really see on how I can improve my teachings and just become a better coach and person, for that matter.
I'm sure that they appreciate someone such as yourself, because I watched the videos and you're very detail oriented. A lot of teaching and a lot of talking to the young players about what they need to do, particularly game situation stuff. Do you find nowadays, and again, we're not going to bash anyone that does anything closely related to this, but do you think that now it's like run-of-the-mill stuff as far as the trainers that's being done out there in the world right now?
Yeah, you know, everybody has their own niche,
right?
You know, and everybody has their own way of teaching the game of basketball. Which, to me, as long as you're getting the message across to the player, and you guys have that synergy on and off the court, and they're developing as a person and as a player, I think that's great.
Right.
But you know, nowadays, man, and we've talked about it. It's not just in the basketball world. You start seeing in terms of quality, everything is really getting diluted across the landscape. Whether it's in music. I mean, it could be even food. I mean, everything in our culture in terms of this in America especially, is getting watered down. And for me, and for somebody like yourself who's been doing it for over a decade, it's kind of frustrating at times, to be honest, because there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes on behind the scenes, and as well as, you know, the sacrifices that you take away from your own kids and your own family, and you're putting into somebody else with time and dedication. It's hard, and I don't want to say that, you know, I'm sitting here comparing myself to any other trainers, but I just know what I do for myself to make me better and to help make others better. You know, sometimes you may get overlooked in certain aspects and not get all the opportunities that you wish you could. But, you know, you just got to stay prayed up and just continue, and ultimately something will fall in your lap.
Right. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Big time, hopefully. So you're Dallas, primarily centered in Dallas, correct?
Yes,
What do people in Dallas think of New York City basketball?
Man, you know.
And don't hold any punches, be real.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, because, you know, I coached on the EYBL on the 17U side. So one of the things I've always really admired about New York City and just this area is the brand of basketball. I mean, the way you coach kids out here is a lot different than how you coach in Texas.
Right.
You know, a lot of the kids up here on the Northeast side, y'all's resources is very limited in terms of like gym space and things of that nature. So I think the appreciative side is a little bit different because just in Dallas alone, I mean, we got $1 million facilities on every block.
Right.
And now you actually have more access to trainers and teachings all over the landscape. So it is different. You know, the mentality too, from an economic standpoint, is different. I mean, out here it's like a eat or get ate mentality.
Right.
In Dallas, it's a little bit more spread out, a little bit more suburban. You know what I mean? It's just a different lifestyle. And so you see a lot of great talent, obviously, in Dallas. I would say that the resources in terms of what kids in New York are allowed to do, or you know, or exposed to, is just a little bit different.
Right.
But I've always had the utmost respect for New York, and I know everybody in Texas has too.
So when you think of New York City basketball, what do you think about? Handles, get to the basket, tough,
no
gritty?
question. No question. Like one of my best friends is Tyler Ref. You know what I mean? And you know, everybody knows Tyler could dribble the hell out of basketball. So, you know, Kenny Anderson, one of my favorite players growing up was Mark Jackson. You know, so
He didn't have a handle though.
yeah, but I mean, he was
cerebral
strong.
and cerebral,
Yeah,
like all hell.
you know what I mean? And so I've always been infatuated with just tough guards.
Right.
And so you look at from Sebastian Telfair to, I mean, the list goes on.
Right. Even I guess Lance is considered a guard now, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But you ain't got no punks coming out of New York.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so all my friends, even growing up, were either from Jersey or from New York, because I mean, it's very straight to the point. You know what you're gonna get, and you know, I think pretty much everybody throughout the U.S. knows what you're gonna get in a New York guard.
Right. Do you think that at this current juncture in basketball training, the basketball training landscape, are we in a good place overall?
That's a great question. You know, I really do ponder about that a lot. Like, I think from a competitive standpoint, no, we are in trouble. I don't think kids nowadays really genuinely love to compete.
Right.
I think a lot of kids love to win more than they hate to lose. And that's just really, that's not their fault though.
Right.
You know, I think we as adults, we've created this scene of, like we talk about giving out trophies to losers. Losers, honestly, even fifth place. I mean,
but you lost.
That's a
You
loss.
lost.
So I think that the conditioning of what's been taking place over the last 10 to 15 years is really kind of just watered down the competition. I mean, hey, you tournaments now, you playing 4 or 5 games
in one day,
in a weekend,
right? Or weekend
in the day,
right?
And so you lose, and it's just like, well, bet I got a game at 5 o'clock. Back in our day, I mean, if you lost, you going home, and it would bother you.
Right.
So, I mean, it is tough though, but the competitive standpoint, it's not like it used to be. You know?
Do you think that the trainers right now are using their platforms for possibly the financial gain as opposed to the gain of the game?
I would say so. And I mean, even for me, is, you know, I have to promote myself in order to make money. I think that's just the tale of the two evils, so to speak. And so it's just a part of the business. You know, training once was just what it was, training.
Right.
But now it's become an actual industry.
Right.
You know, and so what's going to separate yourself as a trainer is how well you market yourself and brand your company.
It's kind of fucked up, though.
Yeah, I mean it is, but you know, for me, it's also been able to put me in a position to really help more people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I look at it from a positive standpoint, but I try to do the best I can to always stay true.
Right.
You know, and it gets hard. I'm not gonna lie. Not saying that you get caught up in the money all the time, but you know, I'm a single father and I have my own son.
Right.
You know, and we got to eat as well.
Right.
And so I feel like if you're valuable in anything, you should be compensated.
I agree. Right.
You know, so it just, I think how people know if you're genuine or not. I'll put it to you like that. You know.
Do you think that someone putting that chase or the financial gain ahead of actually the craft, instead of getting better at their craft?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people misconstrue that. You know, they'll try to say, hey, I'm gonna run a camp. I need 50 kids at $60 a pop, and they counting their money, as opposed to like putting time into yourself, and mastering your craft, and the money will always come.
Always, right.
You know what I mean? And so I think for me, that's been my approach. Let me go ahead and just be the best I can be as a trainer, and all that will take care of itself at some point, hopefully.
I've always admired the fact that you're one of the few trainers that can cross the divide? Because it seems to be a growing divide within the training landscape currently. The people that are doing stuff that some may deem questionable, and some may be doing stuff that's kind of old-fashioned.
Right.
You're one of the few guys that seem to cross the bridge very well. You're respected in both areas. How is that possible?
I think it's just staying connected to my upbringing and the mentors that I've had over the last few years. I mean, since day one, I'm a student of the game, and I respect who's came before me and paved the way for myself. And I kind of go back into the each one teach one aspect, you know, and that one day I'm gonna be considered an OG.
OG, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I want to make sure that as I'm growing, I'm bringing others with me.
Right.
So that's just kind of the landscape that I'm bringing along. So
We're wrapping it up right now with Tim Martin of Dallas, and he already spoke to us about his experiences and how the basketball landscape has changed. And we wanted to take this opportunity on the MECCA podcast and thank you for coming by.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for, and
I
hopefully
appreciate
good luck with everything.
Yeah.
And especially helping out Dwayne Wade throughout his whole process of retirement.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Okay.